Smith and Western Jury, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You guys have got an album coming out, a debut album on June 14 called Hotel Texas. Before we talk about that, let's get a bit of background. I believe that the band members have a history in heavier music. Was there a moment when the country music penny dropped, or was it a gradual attraction?
I feel like it's gradual and penny dropped. So my parents, I grew up listening to bands like the Eagles and stuff like that. They were super into it. And then I was super into sort of punk rock and harder music. And then Sam and I would always listen to the Eagles and just listen to the guitar and listen to how it would like whine and moan. And then we kind of like went down the rabbit hole of like more into like country and western. So yeah, it's kind of gradual and we fell into it too.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because when I was younger, I was told a lot that I should sing country music because people could hear like that little twang in my voice. But I was like, oh, I was just like singing pop rock music back then. And I was like obsessed with like Alanis Morissette, and I feel like she really influenced me. And and I was like, oh, it wasn't my thing back then. And then as we got older, we did listen. I feel like we've always really listened to a really wide range of music. But we were like in our teens and early 20s into some heavier music. And then I think it was kind of through Simon's guitar. He's just obsessed with guitar because country music players are so talented in like the way that they play guitar. I think that kind of furthered our relationship with country music, because he started playing more country music, and then he'd show me an artist and then I'd be like, oh, they're great, and then I'd find a new artist and we'd kind of share bands that we liked, and then it just kind of evolved into this sound. And then we were like, because it was probably about 10 or so years ago now, and then we were like, oh, we want to go to Texas and Nashville and all those places to see where it all came from. And then we went over to the States and saw some of, the bands that are doing it over there. And we were like, wow, and that trip, I guess, was the trip that just made us go, we've got these songs that we've been writing now, like that, of that new kind of sound that we'd kind of brought together. And we're like, let's actually do something about it. We probably should do something.
Let's go.
Because we've never played in a band together. We played in separate bands for a really long time, but we were like, it kind of inspired us to actually do something.
To go semi full country.
Yeah, our version.
Like many artists and many people, the COVID years and the lockdowns messed with our heads. But on top of that, Sam, you had some other health issues to deal with. Could you explain what happened and then how you channeled that negativity into the positivity of this band project?
So the main health issues I had, it kind of started just before COVID hit. I was diagnosed with something called vestibular migraine, and that can cause constant dizziness, which is just like living in a nightmare. It causes really bad bouts of vertigo where like the room spins and doesn't stop. And then on top of that, sometimes you can have like an episode where it's room spinning, almost like you've woken up after a night of drinking, that kind of feeling. And then that kind of can linger. It can settle a bit, but it can linger, and you can feel like you're walking like on a boat almost. So it's like this horrible feeling where you just have constant dizziness. And at the time I was like, I have no idea what this is. And it's a really hard thing to get diagnosed with, because lots of doctors, it's not really talked about much. And a lot of doctors will just kind of bring it down to something else. They're like, oh, I had to see so many different doctors before I finally met my neurologist, and he was like, he just knew exactly what I was talking about. And I was like, God, thank God someone actually understands what I'm saying. But that kind of hit. And then that was like, that really shook me, because it's like life-changing, because you know, it was debilitating. There was like weekends, poor Simon just had to like look after me, and I couldn't get out of bed. Like, you can't move because if you stand up, you'll fall over, kind of thing. It's really horrible. But yeah, when I could, then that was kind of the end of 2019, and then obviously COVID hit. So throughout that time, I was still kind of figuring out. I was figuring out how to handle it. I was trying to find all ways to kind of treat it, but that's a journey in itself, because I've been on so many different medications to try and fix that. But I guess because we were stuck at home on the days where I was feeling good, because I had this new thing in my life, not that it was a positive thing, it was a terrible thing. All of a sudden it was kind of giving me all these new like ideas on, it was consuming my life. So I guess a lot of what I was writing about was about how I was feeling. And yeah, so a few of the songs were kind of on the record were inspired by, you know, whether it was the feeling I had when I started the first medication I was on, because they really mess with your brain in some ways, or I've got another one where, you know, Have Mercy was kind of a mix of being stuck inside, but also like, come on. Like, it was just, we were, yeah, sometimes it was like, what else could possibly go wrong, kind of thing. Yeah. So at least through the hell there was some positives, I guess.
We got some songs
it's
out
been
of
an
it.
Interesting few years.
Yeah. So you'd made a start on the album and then decided to go to Texas to finish it, is that right?
Yeah, well, I guess because of all the health stuff that had happened, like I said, we had been to the States before. We'd actually been once or twice already. And then we were planning to go back, and then COVID hit. And because COVID kind of lasted a few years, we were like, we need a holiday after this. And not only do we need a holiday, we really want to record this album. So I remember saying to Simon one day, hey, what if we combine the two? I had a holiday and recorded. And why don't we like record in Texas? Like, you know, stuff it. Like, what have we got to lose? And because things had been so bad, and I mean, I had been through the hell stuff, and poor Simon had to look after me for like those few years. And it was just, you know, a hard time for both of us. So we were like, yeah, why not? Because you never know what's going to happen, really.
Yeah, we kind of thought of it as a working holiday. So before we went into heavy lockdowns, we were practicing and writing, and then we literally, whenever we were allowed out of lockdowns, is when we kind of did as much jury stuff as we possibly could. So the way the band started was almost backwards. Like, we had more video clips than we had gigs that we could perform, because that was the only thing that we could actually do.
Yeah.
And we could, you know, the capacity of having 3 or 4 people with us was fine, but we couldn't go and play a show. So we kind of just worked so hard on everything that we could do. By the time it got to us being out, we were like, we've come this far, we may as well, like we got nothing to lose. It's solely our project. Like, let's go to America, let's do the best we can with what we've got. So
so you went to Cherry Ridge Studios. Tommy Dedamore is the owner engineer. What did he bring to the project?
Oh, just his like wealth of experience and
so much knowledge.
Yeah, through and through. He's like, I mean, we'd sit down with him every morning and have these conversations with him and we'd sit there and like be talking to him about all these influences that you know, like artists that we were influenced by, and he'd be like, oh yeah, he's a friend of mine, or and we were like, what? And you know, another story, and he'd be like, oh, I was on tour with him in 80 whatever, and we were like, what? He's just, you know, he's been playing country music for so long. He just has such an amazing ear, and he's a pedal steel player as well. So, and he plays guitar, and he's just a multi-instrumentalist. And I think just his wealth of knowledge and experience was invaluable.
Yeah, so what he brought to the project was brain and ears, essentially.
I thought I had a good ear until I'd play like a chord and he'd be like, is your pinky finger slightly pushing up that E string? And I'm like, what? And he was in like another room and could hear that. And I was like, Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it
A
is.
seasoned professional.
Yeah. Yeah. So going from the heavier music that used to play, Simon, to country, changing up your gear, was that a gradual thing, or was it more like, shit,
That's a good question.
I better replace this amp with this amp?
Damn, how much time have you got? I think I can talk to you about this for a long time. Yeah, not so. I got rid of all humbucker guitars. So any Les Pauls or SGs or anything like that, anything that had a thicker sound, I moved on straight away. But I think it's mostly amps. So when I was a kid, I'd lug around a Marshall half stack and play a little pub gig. And now I want to buy an amp that's probably this big and just play with that. It's just everything in country is like so stripped back that you have nowhere to hide. Whereas I feel like when I was growing up, all you did was hide. You hid behind distortion, you hid behind a massive amp. And now everything we do is just super clean, as crisp as possible, and just like a little bit of reverb. But like, yeah, the gear certainly got culled.
So recording the album in America, did you use your own gear, or did you use what was in the studio?
Yeah, so that was a sort of not a roadblock, but we knew that was going to be an issue. So I play a B-bender guitar, which is essentially almost like a pedal steel style. I pull on the neck and it pitch shifts a string. So we knew that Tommy didn't have one of those handy, so I knew I'd have to bring mine. And then Sam has an acoustic that she's had forever, and wrote all the songs on there. So we're like, if we can take an acoustic and the B-bender, we should be fine. And then Tommy just had everything we'd need, baritone. I love like rockabilly, so I wanted to have like a nice hollow body guitar. And Tommy literally sent us a list of his like, I have all these instruments, these are the amps, and it was literally what we needed. So yeah, we just went over there with 2 guitars and that was it. We were set.
Yeah. So Sam, what is the main acoustic that you use, and is there a story behind how you acquired it?
So I use a Maton, which is like my baby that I've been using for like 15 years now.
Yeah.
I bought it from my local like music shop, which unfortunately is not, it's still there, but it's not the same. It's been bought out. It used to be like the local music shop that like both Simon and I went and got lessons of different kinds there when we were younger.
Yeah.
And it was one of those family owned stores in Greensboro that everyone just knew, like the owners, and everyone knew the shop, everyone knew the staff, and it was quite a small store, but they had some really good brands in there. And unfortunately, it's changed hands now, and they don't sell any of the same brands anymore. It's, I don't know what brands they sell, but they definitely don't sell Matons anymore. And I just walked in there, and I had a really good relationship with one of the guitar teachers there, and I was like, I need a new guitar, and he kind of recommended that particular one, and I knew that I wanted like a smaller body one, so I got a Maton Performer. And yeah, I love it. It just feels so comfy now. Like I'm a bit heavy-handed when I play, so Simon always makes fun of me that like on the back of the neck it's just so worn down, like it's aging. And I mean, I'm a lover of all vintage things, so the older the better for me.
Yeah. And on stage, Simon, what are you more likely to use guitar-wise?
My B-bender, my Joe Glazer Telecaster. So it's a Fender Telecaster that we got in Knoxville on a trip maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then I brought it back and I got Joe Glazer to put a B-bender in it. And he does B-benders for everyone, G-benders. His shop is in Nashville, and we walked in there and there was 3 or 4 guitars, and they had Dwight Yoakam's name on them. There was a guitar case and there was a Vince Gill tag on them. Like, everyone that we listen to goes there.
We were quietly fangirling at the guitar cases.
Yeah.
Trying to act cool while we saw like their names on the cases.
But yeah, it's just it's a Fender Telecaster with a Glazer bender and just a Princeton, just really stock.
Yeah. Getting back to the album, there's a nice little instrumental interlude called Bolo Ties Some Bullshit, which precedes the final track, Hotel Texas. How did that piece come about?
Hotel Texas was originally called Bolo Ties and Bullshit. And that was just me being a smart ass about the country scene.
The prejudice of music in general.
Yeah, music in general.
Judgment that people, put on you, really. We were talking about the judgment of the country scene at the time and how people judge you about cowboy hats or what you wear, or, I mean, no matter what scene you're in, it always happens. And people like claiming that, you know, you're not original or they're original, or, you know, all these claims and stuff. And at the end of the day, we were just like, it's such BS, because every single person is like inspired by something or someone or their upbringing. Like no one invented, you know, country music. You know,
but like
it goes back so far. So
that little piece of music is inspired by all the things we love, like Marty Robbins,
Marty Stewart,
all the Martys. If your name's Marty, we're definitely inspired by you.
Marty Stewart has some really cool instrumentals on his Way Out West album. So I guess that's probably, we were like, want to do something like that.
Yeah, maybe in saying that, I think it is a bit of a tip of the hat to Marty Robbins and Marty Stewart.
Yeah.
Because of the like classical guitar, but it being an instrumental. Yeah, just before, it's just that little piece. And I thought we kind of do everything a little bit differently in this band. And I'm like, I don't know of anyone of our peers that are doing sort of instrumental little pieces. So we thought we may as well put it on there. And also it made the album have 10 songs on it instead of 9.
If Simon could, he'd have a whole instrumental album. That's coming soon.
Picking and grinning.
So what was the thinking on putting the title track at the end?
I think it was just, it's such an epic song. Like, it's real cinematic to us. So it was kind of like, it was always going to end that way. It just felt right to be, I don't know, I feel like that song kind of really takes you somewhere. So we wanted that to be like the last thing that people hear.
And especially having like Have Mercy and then having that, it really bookends.
Yeah.
Because the music that we love to listen to is quite like cinematic, and it really makes you kind of like, you taste dust in your mouth and like you can feel a breeze, like, and we feel like those two songs are the ones that are kind of like the most cinematic. So you kind of start in a place and then there's a bit of a journey and then you kind of finish tied to a train track somewhere. I don't know.
Speaking of cinema, there's a great video that goes with Hotel Texas. How did that come about?
Well,
crazy thoughts, I think.
Yeah, we always have crazy ideas. We're both graphic designers and Simon's super creative when it comes to visuals. And we were talking about a video clip for that song. And a couple of years earlier, we had been to Fort Worth. We had seen, sorry, this is going to be a bit of a long answer, but we'd seen the Hotel Texas that you'll see in the video. And at the time, we just thought it was a really cool building. We both loved the neon sign because we're both into photography. And I didn't think about it until a few years later when I was writing that song about the metaphor of the judgment of the music scene. And then I thought that would be a cool metaphor for it, like come and check into the Hotel Texas. I'm from out of town, I'll show you around, kind of thing. That was, you know, me saying this is our version of country. But then when we were talking about what we were going to do for the video clip, we were already planning the trip. And then I remember we were like going for a walk one day and Simon was like, hey, I've got this idea. What if we recorded the video there? And I was like, how the heck are we going to make that happen?
Every time I come up with an idea, I like literally the Smith & Wesson jury is, I have an idea, and then Sam executes it. So we just went for a walk, and then I said, what about on the last day that we're in America, we find someone that will film a video clip, simple, just have a visual to go with the album, to go with the single, and we'll just get it done. And then so Sam and I were on Instagram trying to find videographers, wedding photographers, anyone.
It was very hard to find, because it was like you'd either come across someone that like has done, you know, music videos for huge artists and they wanted 20 grand, or people that just didn't seem very trustworthy. So eventually, like, I reached out to a few people that did like commercials or like weddings, and we just got lucky. And this one person that we reached out to, this company, they were like, yeah, no worries, sounds easy. Like, we explained what we wanted to do. Simon had basically storyboarded the whole thing out in his head already. We gave them a brief rundown and they were like, yeah, no worries. So, you know, payment up front kind of thing. And we were like, what? So we transferred money and paid for it up front to someone we'd, you know, never spoken to on the phone. It was a real risk. And we were like, okay, well, let's see. We're a bit like that, I guess. We're just not afraid to take a chance. So then that day we kept making jokes because we were meeting the videographer just by himself in the parking lot of Billy Bob's, which is like a honky tonk in Fort Worth, Texas. And we were like, this sounds really dodgy. Like, who knows if anyone's actually going to show up or if we're going to like get robbed, or I don't know what's going to happen. And it was like 8 a.m. There was no one around in Fort Worth at that time.
And even so, Josh filmed it for us, and even him walking around the corner with the camera was like, there's like, actually someone here.
He's real.
We haven't been screwed over. Thank the honky tonk gods for that. Thank you. But it was literally long answer short. It was just, we were gonna be in Fort Worth, so let's just do it and finish the clip on Sam underneath the sign. And then it gave us a good chance to get a photo of the sign for the album cover. So we spent a day walking around Fort Worth with a videographer and Sam holding a guitar case, and then half a day just in front of that building trying to take the photo for the album.
It was a real experience. And I just want to make it clear that Josh was lovely. He wasn't weird at all.
No, he was very cool. He was very cool.
As well as the album coming out, you've just announced a tour which begins in July. That'll be as a 4-piece.
So we have our good friends, Aaron and Kev, playing with us, and we're really excited to be playing music with them again. We've both played in different bands with them a long time ago when I was doing solo stuff, and Simon was actually in a 3-piece band with them like 10 years ago. And when it came time to do this tour, we contacted them and started jamming with them again. And they're just like the sweetest guys, and they're both so incredibly talented. They've both got, a history with some really big bands behind them. So they're both so professional and can just pick things up so quickly. And it's just been really nice to, hang out with them again. And it's exciting.
And you're also playing out on the weekend in October in Williamstown. Is that a festival you've played at in any form, or?
No, we've never played out on the weekend, but we have always said
we've always wanted to.
That's the one festival that we would love to play.
That was a bucket list one, and then we got it. And we were very happy. It's been a good year this year.
Do you hope to get back to America to play this music one day?
We do hope so.
I feel like that's me being a dreamer, and then Sam will be the executor of that, and then maybe we can get back over there, and like we'd love to play some more shows. We had a chance to play in the Lonesome Rose in San Antonio when we were there. We just did a one-off gig, and that was insanely fun. So we'd love to do it over there again for sure.
It's definitely on my list of when we want to do something. I'm so determined, so I'm going to say yes at some point. Yes.
So what's the grand plan for the Smith and Western Jury?
Well, at this stage, it's just to keep the train rolling, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you know, things have started moving for us, and we're getting some really good support from, local radio, and now we're picking up, some really good gigs, and obviously we got out on the weekend, and I feel like it's just getting like our name out there. There's just so many bands these days, which is, it's hard to kind of stand out from the crowd. So for us, I think we're just happy when we're playing music. So it's like just doing as much as we can, as long as we can keep it rolling and hopefully keep growing in what we're doing. And we joke about the fact that, like, when we were kids, or when I was a kid, I wanted to be like Beyonce or something. But my dreams have changed so much. Like, we would be happy with working 2 days a week, because realistically, in this day and age in the music industry, no one is making money. We would be happy with working 2 days a week, and then just like the rest of the days in the week just playing music. Like, that's as far as our goals go. Like,
I'd be pretty stoked to play 1 gig a month. If we could play 1 gig a month, I'd be pretty bloody happy with that, for sure.
I mean, obviously we would love to be touring, and not to play it down, but what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we want to play some more festivals. We want to grow our audience, obviously, and we'd love to be touring Australia and overseas. But yeah, we'd love music to be our main priority. So, and our main, I guess, yeah. Sometimes it feels like we've got 2 full-time jobs, and it'd be nice not to feel like that all the time.
So, well, if it's any consolation, Beyonce's dreams have changed. She's gone country.
Oh yeah, true.
I wonder if she's following in our footsteps. Maybe she was in a punk band when she was a teenager. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Smith and Weston Jury's album, Hotel Texas, is out June 14th. Sam and Simon, it's been great to chat, and we'll catch you next time.
Great to speak to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Keep warm.
Yeah.